welcome to Vinequity's 2024 Town Hall. I'm Debbie Shang, one of the co-founders of Vinequity. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Let's kick into the contents of this year's update. We have a lot of really exciting news to share with you. I'm so excited. We have some really great partners and alumni that we have invited to speak with us this evening that haven't been on our town halls before. So stay tuned for that to come. Just a quick recap of Vinequity and, before that, a quick land acknowledgement to just recognize that, you know, we are so privileged to live here on this borrowed land. And it, you know, it's an honor to be here in Canada, and of course, want to pay our respects to the traditional territories of the Wendat, Shinnebec Nation, the Haudenosaunee Nation, the Mississaugas of the Credit, and also the Métis. We are all treaty people by history and by design, and you know, more than that, also we, because of who we are as an organization, want to recognize as well those of the African diaspora who are either brought here or moved here as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. So just want to acknowledge that this evening. So moving on to who we are as Vinequity. It seems like time has flown, but Vinequity is now 4 years old. As you know, our town hall is something that we've chosen to do since the second year of inception, to really give people an update and give the community transparency as to what we're up to. But a little bit of history about our organization. We were founded just after George Floyd was killed in the summer of 2020. 7 of us women of color in Canada's wine business decided to get together and really build something that could drive lasting change and also elevate BIPOC people across Canada who want to advance themselves in this worthy profession. So we're a Canadian not-for-profit organization. We aren't a charitable organization as yet, though, of course, for those of us who are financial supporters of Vinequity, we do now offer charitable or tax-deductible receipts through one of our financial partners, Veritas. So if you have some contributions that you'd like to talk about with us, please send us a note and we can definitely get you in touch on how to proceed with that. We're completely run on volunteer blood, sweat, and tears. The 7 of us co-founding operators are basically the main people responsible, though we have had some really amazing help over this summer and the past summer, thanks to ESDC Canada and the Canada Summer Jobs Grant. As a national organization, we do operate coast to coast. So if there is somebody that you know in a far off pocket of Canada who would like to lean on some of our resources, please don't hesitate to put them in touch with us. We have resources for them. And one of the things that we wanted to do with Vinequity, you'll hear about a lot of our programming this evening, namely the mentorship program, scholarships, and of course, something brand new that we're really delighted to introduce you to shortly. I'll save the excitement for the end, but we also wanted to just really emphasize the presence and give people a platform to be recognized in the community. So our website also serves as a directory. Think of it as a, you know, BIPOC beverage LinkedIn, if you will, at vinequity.ca. I invite you to check that out in your free time. And, you know, in the beginning, we thought, you know, is this something that could even be possible? And lo and behold, after 4 years, we're now standing at over 200 members on the directory. So a shout out to everybody on there. Hope some of you are logging on here tonight to check out the town hall. And yeah, so that's a little bit about us. For those of you who, you know, wanted a refresh about us. Next, we wanted to share a little bit of financial updates with you. This is a tradition that we've done in the past, basically since we founded the organization. And I'd like to invite my fellow co-founder, Nabila Rauji, to speak about the financial performance of the organization over the last year. So Nabila, I will hand it over to you.
Debbie. So as Debbie mentioned, we just want to make sure that we're always being clear and forthcoming in terms of the generous donations that our community and our partners share with us and how those funds are being used. So since we last saw you guys, 2023, we closed out a pretty quiet year for fundraising. And we spent the winter doing a fair bit of introspection about how we could supercharge our fundraising skills in 2024. And I'm delighted to report that so far in this year, we've raised just over $90,000, which by far and away smashes anything that we've been able to bring in for the organization over the previous 3 years. Super delighted to have that. Small businesses, individual donors, trade partners, many of them recurring and consistent donors for us through our entire existence, remain the cornerstone of our financial network. However, this year, we were also the beneficiaries of 2 huge boosts between the Golden Vines or Gerard Basset organizational grant, as well as a beneficiary of the Bike to Care Burgundy team with Halpern, which you will hear a little bit later in the evening. Our administrative costs remain pretty similar. We hover around $4,000 per year just for the core things like insurance, accounting, and our digital infrastructure. Part of receiving some additional funds this year allowed us to spend to hire a part-time administrative role that helped us really build some much needed capacity and allow us as a team of founders to focus our efforts elsewhere in terms of sustaining and building the organization. That also included some of the support coming from Canada Youth Summer Jobs Program. Overall, this has been both an exciting and a vulnerable year for us. This influx of additional funding has allowed us to expand our programming, which you guys will hear some more about as well this evening. But pretty much everything that we have brought in is entirely committed, including what we maintain as our absolute core programming and a minimum commitment of about $20,000 in direct aid for educational and training scholarships. So that'll take us through our winter of 2025, but then we've got to kind of pull it together. So we hope that those of you who have donated to us this year or in the past see the evidence before you of all the reasons why you ought to renew your donations in 2025 and to feel encouraged to, mention this to your friends and family who might be looking for where to place charitable donations this year or in the future. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my co-founder, Beverly Crandon. She's going to take us through the updates on our mentorship program.
Thank you, Nabila. Mentorship, I will say, for Vinequity is one of our programs that requires a lot of commitment. It's less transactional. Our mentorship terms are 12 months, and that does require also participation from the founders of Vinequity in that. But as I say, it is one of the things that requires a lot of commitment. I also feel that it is one of our programs that has one of the largest returns. Maya Angelou, on the topic of mentorship, when she was asked about it, she said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And so when I look at mentorship, I think of it as, people will look for a mentor when they're going into a new career, or they're trying to grow within their career. And regardless of who you are, that's a very scary transition to be making. And you're always looking for someone in your corner that can be your sounding board. You can ask questions, and they will tell you, you've got this. You are ready for this. And with Vinequity being an organization that supports BIPOC people, wanting to excel in the beverage industry here in Canada, yes, they are looking to try something new or expand in their career. But then oftentimes on top of that, they're going into spaces where they very rarely see people who look like them in that particular space. So that's why, I feel that mentorship is one of those things that pays dividends for years and years to come. I will say, as you see here on the slide, it talks about the disciplines that we support when it comes to mentorship. When we started the mentorship program back in 2021, so it was the second year of our operations, we saw a lot of people interested in wine marketing, wine writing, and so forth. But as we progress, we're now seeing more and more people who are interested in vineyard management and winemaking. And what that's showing us is the community is growing as the programs are there for them, and as they're getting the mentorship and as they're getting the scholarship dollars to go and pursue education, the program is growing. So I'm very excited to see where this is going. And also, shameless plug, if you know of a vineyard manager, winemaker who you think would be willing to be a mentor on the Vinequity program, we're always looking for those because we've got a large demand for that particular discipline. Since we started the mentorship program in 2021, we've done 5 mentorship series. When we started this, we were doing 6-month terms. And then through fact find and talking to the people going through the program, we quickly learned that those relationships were lasting longer than 6 months. And that's wonderful. Our mentor mentees made a connection. That help was continuing. So then we transformed the program and made the mentorship terms 12 months to ensure we gave that mentor and mentee enough time to work through business plans and growth plans and so forth. And what I will say is that 9 times out of 10, although the formalized program is 12 months, we see those relationships last a lot longer. We provide in our mentorship program one-on-one, so mentor-mentee, but then we also support folks who weren't able to get a mentor in that particular term by doing group education, such as tasting studies and tasting clinics. What I will say is, there's a lot of success stories, and we're going to hear one tonight. We're going to bring one of our mentees up onto the stage, the virtual stage. But what I will say is a sign of the community rallying behind the program is that we are now seeing mentees who've gone through the program excel, gain careers, excel in their careers, and come back and mentor other people in the program. So it truly is that community spirit of reaching down and lifting somebody else up. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. So I'm going to bring one of our mentees from the 2024 term up to the stage, Lorna Kipkoseji. And I will say that when Lorna came to us, we saw Lorna's application for mentorship, and we saw the energy with which she was working in Kenya around wine marketing and some consumer education when it came to wine. And she had explained that she was interested in learning more as she arrived in Canada, learning more about the business of wine, distribution, and of course, wine marketing. And in looking at our mentors on our roster, we connected Lorna with Andrea Backstrom from AMCC. AMCC is a wine marketing extension of wineries who are global. More specifically, and where I think they really excel and we see a lot from them, is they are the extension to help wineries that are external to Canada in terms of their route to market, which means you have to understand how to market that winery to sell it to government agencies or to provinces to get them in there. Once they're in there, you have to understand how to sell it to consumers. And so we felt that Lorna Andrea meetup or pairing would be ideal. And I'm going to call Lorna to come onto the stage and just kind of talk about her experience in the Vinequity mentorship program and her work with Andrea and where she's at today. So Lorna, if you wouldn't mind coming on camera and off mute.
Hello, thanks Beverly for such a beautiful introduction. And when it comes to mentorship, I think when you quoted Maya Angelou, you just made it exactly, or you said it exactly how I feel about mentorship. And I think there's no particular age where you can't be mentored. That's what I believe. And precisely as a newcomer, I came in last year, December, and given this opportunity, I thought it was a gold mine because I wanted to understand Canadian wine market, which is very different from the Kenyan wine market. And being paired with Andrea and Beverly, you're in our first meeting, it felt like we've known each other for years. It was like chemistry instantly. And for the last 9 months, we meet virtually and physically at least twice every month. And now she's now a friend of mine. We just randomly meet over lunch, which is amazing. And she's been taking me through how wine works, how wine market works in Canada. Precisely, we've been delving deeper in the Ontario market and doing business with LCBO, which sometimes in our meetings, I feel like I'm in a workplace rather than just a mentorship session. And through this program, and thanks to Andrea and all the support, I just landed a job at Icon Van Far as a marketing coordinator recently. And I've been working there for a month, and it feels I've been there for a year thanks to the mentorship program, because I've been learning how to do business in Ontario. So this kind of programs really help. And just to point out, I've attended a couple of events and I rarely see anyone looking like me in the room. And this mentorship and programs like this are very important, and I feel very passionate about it. Yeah, so thank you.
Lorna, that was well said. Thank you so much. If you are on here and you know someone else who you think could benefit from a mentorship program, we are going to open up applications for mentorship October 21st. So please keep an eye on our socials and on your email if you're part of our mailing list, and we'll announce that. Debbie, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Beverly, and thank you, Lorna, for sharing your powerful story as well. It really means a lot to, hear about lives and careers that are genuinely changed by just the, few creative pieces of programming that we've put together. Personally, on a personal level, I'm really proud of your success, Lorna. Congratulations on your new gig. These kind of head office roles are not easy to find, especially, again, when you come from a demographic that doesn't look like the traditional norm of the audience that wine is usually marketed to. So, it really does give testament to how we're making a small difference, one professional at a time. So next, I'd like to invite my fellow co-founder, Chanel Vines, to come in and speak to our historic success in the scholarship program, another pillar of Vinequity, and she'll also report on our current cohort as well. So welcome, Chanel.
Thanks, Debbie. I want to start off by kind of setting the stage for, or the experience for what a lot of our applicants are feeling about our scholarship. So to start, I want us to imagine someone standing in the rolling hills of a vineyard at dawn. Let's say somewhere in Niagara, for context. They have just tasted some great wine. Maybe they've never attended a class on viticulture and certainly never thought that they could have a career in the industry. Yet, there they stood, filled with curiosity and determination, soaking in the stories from the vines. And they think, with a little bit of terror, oh my gosh, I want to be in this industry. Everyone has what I call the drunken moment of passion, where wine becomes a source of expression. And for those who are BIPOC, that can come with a bit of terror, with a side of, how will I describe my job at my next family get-together? This is the underlying story of many of our applicants, many equally perplexed and excited by the desire, some mostly after dedicating years to another career, is stepping into the wine industry. But what I have seen over the past years, we have awarded over $93,000 that this is not merely just a pipe dream. Our applicants have clear, achievable goals. So they have a strong desire to succeed, but they also know exactly what is it that they want to do in the industry and can lay it out in a plan when they're applying to our scholarship. The candidates demonstrate deep commitment to learning and improvement in their wine knowledge. So not everyone has just recently had their eureka moment. One of our applicants that were awarded this year at level 2, at tier 2 of our, which is done by the amount we award, they actually have a 15-year history in the industry. They're in the master wine program and applied because they wanted to do some certifications in beer and spirits. Lastly, all of our applicants have a strong desire for community and contribution to the industry. So our scholarship isn't just financial aid, it's a key to unlocking a world many of us once thought was kind of out of reach. And that's exciting to see. On our screen, we have the 2021 and 2022, the awards. You can kind of see that trajectory in terms of where, and what I want people to really focus on is the tier levels. So you can see in 2021, we had 4 at tier 1, 4 at tier 2, 2 at tier 3, none at tier 4. In 2022, we had 3 at tier 1, 6 at tier 2, 4 at tier 3. And if we can move forward. And in 2023, we had 2 at tier 4. That was the first year we saw people at our highest year. That is where we award over $5,000, and we see people doing much more advanced programming at that stage. So MW, MS, PhDs. And in 2024, we had 3 people at tier 4. This year, just to give a little bit more about how the award went, we gave over 23,000, and we had 8 recipients. At tier 1, our tier 1 recipient it's always a joy to see people at the tier 1 level, because there is always a great level of determination and just a change in life. So our tier 1 recipient was recently laid off, and they decided that they finally wanted to face their desire to join the wine industry. And we know with these desire, especially after a huge life change, there's always a great sense of purpose. Like, people really are stepping into the industry, knowing the type of value they want to bring. This person wanted to understand a lot about the stewardship around land and what makes a great wine. This year, we had one of our tier 4 level is doing a PhD program. So we see a lot of master wine and MS, and it's great to also see someone doing a PhD and taking a very academic viewpoint. They're doing a lot of ethnographic research around the culture and socioeconomic and historic and political factors and how that shape our wine industry. I am truly excited to see what happens for 2025, but I think what is something that we can all be proud of, everyone that is on the call who are donors to Vinequity, is to see this growth over time and to know that we're not just impacting people who are entering in the industry, we're seeing people grow over time and excelling at very high levels in the industry. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Chanel. Appreciate it. And it's really, heartwarming to just see people continue to chase more excellence, continue to get better. I think about how our programming looks now, and I often get a little bit jealous, because as someone that started in the industry, oh gosh, like 21 years ago, I didn't have these resources, and competing for the resources that were available back in the early 2000s, the way that I looked, the way that I sounded, my age, there was so many things that held me back from seeing success. And I kind of wonder sometimes what my trajectory would look like today if I could lean on some of the really valuable support that the community has to provide. And I think of both the mentorship program and scholarship as meaningful ways that we're really trying to build sustainability within the community. Also, I think, kind of to bring in another, vineyard metaphor is just like, you want to leave the land, you want to leave the industry in same or better shape than when you found it. And this, for us, again, on a personal level, has just been such a meaningful way to pay it forward, to drive growth, drive innovation, and just progress overall. So central to that, of course, is our strategic partnerships that we have with really valuable community members that really uphold, all of our operations. Before I dive into that, though, of course, we've shared quite a bit of information over the last few minutes, and just want to send a quick reminder to everyone. If anyone has any questions about the, our financial results, our mentorship program, or our scholarship program so far, please, there will be a Q&A section in just a few minutes. So, for any inquiries, feel free to type your notes into the chat box, and we will address them over the last few minutes of this town hall. But yeah, I'd like to talk about our strategic partnerships. And again, none of our activities can happen without the generous support of people in the community. And I really want to stress that our community is as diverse as the directory of Vinequity people that it represents. We've got you know, small individuals, independent companies, you know, loan, you know, sommeliers alone that actually make up the bulk of our financial contributions. We're so thankful that our story and our purpose has really touched the hearts of many people that want to support us financially, and private and individual donors does still continue to make up the bulk of our funding. But again, as we move into year 5, eventually, we'd really like to build a bit more cadence and you know, build a bigger and longer lasting legacy, and not just with these individual supporters, but also with some you know, recurring donations from corporations, from hospitality groups, and also, you know, wine related companies as well. So you know, again, shameless plug, we'd love if you are listening and haven't had a chance to partner with us yet. We're just a click away or a quick chat group message away. I think, again, overall, as you have seen and from Nabila and Shanil, we do try to give around $25,000 a year in scholarships, and we're already starting to look for that for the year 2025. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, I want to highlight just a couple of key partners, you know, out of many who have been very supportive to us in the year 2024, and just a real shout out to recognize them for their support. The first is Wes Klassen from Purple Teeth Consulting, also known as one of the 3 amazing co-owners of Odd Duck Wine and Provisions in Kitchener, Ontario. We love Wes. Pretty much the minute that we started Vinequity, he reached out right away and asked, what can I do to support? So if you visit his wine bar, you know, local, like 0 kilometer restaurant and bottle shop in Kitchener, you'll find that actually his cash register is regularly programmed to collect donations for Vinequity. It's such a small but very, very kind gesture that has enabled us to receive a lot of support from Odd Duck and from Wes over the past couple of years. So just really want to thank him for his passion and his contributions. The next partner that I'd like to just quickly summarize is Resurrection Brands. This is a net new partner for us to work with in the year 2024. Special shout out to Matt Henderson from this company. They also reached out to us saying that you know, they wanted to make a difference. They realized that, you know, diversity is as important to raise awareness for and make a change for in Canada as it is in their home country of the US. And they reached out to us right away to make a large donation in the number of $5,000. So thank you so much to Resurrection Brands. We're sorry to have missed Matt on today's town hall, but hopefully can connect you with him and some of his brands soon. Last but not least, I want to highlight something that has been really special and significant to our growth in 2024, something that we had not had the chance to do previously. But for those of you who are on this town hall and are based in Ontario, you may have heard of the fine wine company Halpern Enterprises. You may know it well for its, you know, immense portfolio of premium wine brands, and every year for the past few years they have been sort of the Canadian organizers for a really cool bike rally tournament, or I guess not tournament, bike rally called Bike to Care. Each year they select a different organization to have the funds, you know, benefit their programming. And this year, Vinequity was the fortunate recipient of the 2024 Bike to Care proceeds. So with that, I'd like to, of course, thank Halpern and Maison Louis Jadot and friends, and introduce Old World or European category manager from Halpern, Sheila Flaherty, to speak a little bit about her experience on this year's bike rally, since she was on it, and also a couple words about her thoughts about working with Vinequity so far. So welcome, Sheila.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. So I have been a part of the Bike to Care community for a couple of years now. Very long story short is that it all started in 2022, when a number of Burgundian vignerons all got together and realized post-COVID that where they'd had a really strong couple of years, so much of the industry and so many of their partners had been suffering, and greatly suffering, for a few years. And, you know, these guys are all sitting around the table going, we need to find a way to give back to the community. We need to find a way to use a bit of the star power that some of these Burgundians have to push people to participate, to push people, whether they're already in the industry or want to be in the industry. How do we get young sommeliers, chefs engaged? So what they decided to do was go out to a number of their partners from all over the world. And that is teams from the UK, China, Netherlands, Japan, Belgium, many, many more, and say, we've got a bit of a crazy idea. Make a team in your own country of up to 10 people. So it ended up being about 100 riders, trained to ride 200 kilometers, which I figured out the hard way is really far, and come to Burgundy and ride, but ride for your own community. So they were incredibly gracious in hosting over 100 chefs and sommeliers from all over the world to come to Burgundy to do this charitable ride. And I mean, the aim of each individual, as you can probably imagine with a number of sommeliers and chefs, was, you know, these are not everybody is riding every day. Not everybody is sort of, you know, super athletes, is not to get to the finish post first, but to rather take up the challenge of completing this course and being a part of this community and doing this big initiative together. And the sum of all the money that was raised goes back to each individual country, and each team picks a partner that they want to work with, that they believe can really help drive and further either the wine community, the beverage alcohol community, or the chef side of things. So that was the ride. I mean, we've done it a few years in a row now. And it really is fantastic, not only to the point, you know, that you're with sommeliers, you're with chefs from all over the world, and really lifting each other up. I mean, Lorna made the comment before about sort of no matter your age, you can always be mentored. And, you know, so many of the people on this ride and so many of the people there are people that have mentored me. So to kind of be a part of this whole thing, and then to come back and to work with the Vinequity team to really use that money to, I think, help Ontario, help Canada to really drive this industry and instill the passion that I see so much in everybody on the Vinequity team. I mean, it's amazing. It's, you know, we felt very, very lucky to be a part of that and to work with all of you. I think it was just an incredibly positive experience overall, and to sit and also listen to Chanel describing the recipients, and the volume of people that you help in what sometimes can feel like a really small community, but you sure make it feel large when, you know, you see how many people and how many lives you actually are changing by making this industry more approachable, helping people dive into it, and changing the course of a lot of people's careers. So we felt very, very lucky to ride in honor of Vinequity. I think, you know, also on a global platform, being able to be in Burgundy and chatting about Vinequity and kind of the interesting initiatives that are happening here in Ontario. It was just a very, very positive experience, and I have nothing but respect for what you do, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Sheila. I really appreciate you making some time to tell us a little bit about your experience. Yeah, definitely means a lot. Next, we want to shed a little bit of light on what's coming down the pipeline for Vinequity. As again, I mentioned, we're heading into year 5 next year, and we have some big goals and even some big projects to complete even in this calendar year. So a couple of key highlights, of course, increasing accessibility for all, not simply in an outreach way, but also in compliance with AODA accessibility standards in terms of languaging, in terms of web design. These are things, and also diverse abilities as well. These are things that we are trying to elevate so that Vinequity's resources can be seen, heard, and understood by even more people. The next thing that we are working on as well is increasing our financial transparency even more in order to be a better partner with our donor supporters and give them more understanding as to how we operate. Currently, we do still operate a little bit pen and paper, with our financials. Everything is in order, but we definitely want to use technology to work smarter, not harder. So that's sort of what our financials are going to look like 2.0. Next, of course, we've got some important year-end holidays coming up. So after the Thanksgiving long weekend, we will be starting our 2024 holiday giving campaign. So please stay tuned to your mailboxes for that, as it's an important season for all. And hopefully after you've heard some of the inspiring words shared by our co-founders, Lorna and Sheila, you may be inspired to give yourselves. And last but not least, I wanted to introduce my colleague Nupur Gogia to speak about something very interesting. I will just leave you with the name of our brand new program that Vinequity has never done before, but we are going to try this year. It's called Grapes and Growth Vinequity Wine Camp. So welcome, Nupur, and let's hear.
Thanks, Debbie. So I'm really excited to announce our very first Vinequity Wine Camp. This is a project we've been working on for a couple of years now. The idea being that we wanted to provide a real hands-on opportunity for folks to learn about both viticulture and winemaking in the field, because often that is the part of wine that makes us really excited. It's actually being out there, being among the grapes, being with winemakers, learning about it firsthand. And we have this wealth of wine industry in Canada. And we thought we'd start with a small project based in Ontario. So we have developed a 5-day program. We just closed applications a few days ago, but it's a 5-day program based in both Prince Edward County and Niagara. We're hoping to have an immersive experience for, up to 12 different participants from all around Ontario. And I'm really excited that we've had applications from pretty far-flung places as well. So really excited that we'll have great representation. And the idea is that they have 5 days, a few days in Prince Edward County and a few days in Niagara, and they will basically be spending the mornings learning about both viticulture, so field visits, a whole curriculum developed around that, and winemaking. And the idea is there's a threefold idea, right? One is definitely education and skills development. Again, in the field, learning with professionals who've been doing this for years. Amazing tasting opportunities. We have a roster of tastings both at different wineries, plus winemaker dinners, and also networking. So it's an opportunity for folks from different parts of the province to come in and meet with viticulturists, to meet with winemakers, to meet with each other, right? And sort of foster relationships, foster dialogue, foster discussion. And again, of course, diversity being the main pillar of why Vinequity even exists. We really want to ensure that, the next generation of both vineyard managers, of winemakers, of all different people in the field have an opportunity to learn firsthand what it's like to work in the industry, and hopefully, continue that tradition themselves. So going forward, the idea is that we can kind of foster a much larger and more representative community working at all different sections of the wine industry. So just to move to the last slide, just to kind of wrap up what I'm saying. So we have a fairly intense 5 days of activities beginning on Monday with winemaker dinners. We'll be spending the mornings doing in-depth viticultural visits and discussing all sorts of things from rootstocks and vines and clones to pests and diseases, climate change. We've developed a pretty extensive roster of viticultural topics. And then the afternoon, we're going to be going into different wineries, again, talking about red winemaking, white, rosé, sparkling, and each different workshop will be accompanied by wine tastings. So all of our participants will get, opportunities to taste multiple different wines from both Prince Edward County and Niagara. We'll have lunchtime wine tastings and dinner time, hopefully winemaker dinners as well. So we're really excited. We've had amazing response in terms of applications, and this is just the beginning. We're hoping to grow the program. We've had, the program has been made possible by an amazing foundational grant by the Gerard Bassett Foundation based in Europe. And we've been really lucky to also have the Wine Marketing Association of Ontario jump on board as well with some financial support. So we're just hoping that this program is going to continue to grow, continue to get better. And I think, as Bev mentioned it at the very first, we're hoping to go national. So, Ontario in 2024, Canada for 2025.
Thank you, Nofor. That's really exciting, the agrodiversity program, Grapes and Growth. So the first of its kind here for Ontario and first for Vinequity. We're at the point where we've finished our content, and we will take questions now from anybody that's out there. So if you've got questions about any of the things that you've seen today, or just questions about the program in general or our operations. If not, Chanel, I do have one question that we got on our socials. I don't know if you can maybe speak to this or give rough timelines. It was, when will the scholarship applications open up again for 2025? Roughly, if you can speak roughly as to when in terms of timeline.
Yes, so we usually open at the start of the year, so in January, and we often give around a 4-month span for application to close, and then the actual deliberation and that process. But everything is always on Vinequity. We also share it on social, so the specific dates. This year or next year, the next round, we will be doing some we will be doing some workshops on how to apply. So there's going to be a lot more around that. So I would say really check our website and our social media, but you can anticipate early January to see the dates.
Okay, that's awesome. And it's exciting too that there are 4 months for someone to kind of get their application together and get it in. And the workshops, that being a new addition, will really help as well. I know it could be daunting and maybe a little stressful when you're trying to apply for funding to support your career, to make sure you're doing the right thing with that application. So that's awesome to hear. I do have another question. Okay, this is an interesting one. Someone asking if scholarships work retrospectively. So for example, I'd like to complete my West at level 3 before 2024 ends. And so clearly that person has missed the 2024 applications for scholarships. So I get that. If I'm successful for a Vinequity scholarship in 2025, would it count towards what they did in 2024? Valid question. I'm sure that is a question that other people would have.
Yeah, that's an interesting yeah, I don't think we've ever had that in terms of retrospective. I can't see that being an issue, especially if you are still in the program. So if you're still working on completing and you've already paid for certain things, because we do reimburse for any of your materials needed. But what we can do is to talk specifically about that when we launch next year, so you can have that answer. I can't see that being an issue, especially if you're still in the process of completing and you've already spent on some of your materials, then we can reimburse you.
Okay, great question. And it's a doozy. We haven't run into that use case.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I wouldn't have been, yeah, when you asked, I was like, wait a minute, I've never seen that. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what these things are for, right? To get those kind of questions. And as the program grows, we're gonna encounter new things. So okay, well with that, I think I will.
Sorry, one thing, Bev, because of that question, I would say if you are in a intricate or unique situation, I would say always send us a message beforehand to say, this is what I am, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm, ask the question first, because then we can think about how to make it work. So don't just not apply because you don't see it as a fit. Just ask and we will make sure that we can accommodate whatever your unique situation is.
Perfect. We do have another question on here, which is one around if there are plans to announce who we've given scholarships to and do some sort of profile in terms of the community that we've supported and all that types of good stuff. What I will say is we have been talking as a group for quite some time about taking some of the data that we have collected and doing something even broader than that, that gives insight to the entire wine community, red, white, purple, green, whatever you are, in terms of what the status is of our industry and people who are BIPOC and where they're at and their trajectory and how easy it is or not easy it is for them to move throughout the industry. We are looking for partners and funding to get something like that done, to take all that data that we have and put something together that can be useful, can be used to make transformations in the industry. So we don't have anything at current right now. We do make available, though, in the very basics forms, who is getting a scholarship from us each year when we do give out scholarships. And I think the 2024 announcement of scholarship winners is about to come out. So we do make that available, but I think what's even more important is not just who we're giving scholarships to, but all the data we've collected and looking at the industry as a whole and looking at where those gaps are and how we fill those gaps with using the data we've got so far. So that is something that we are looking to do and something we've been talking about doing the past 3 years, but doing massive research papers and data analysis and studies like that does require people who are versed in doing that. There are companies that do that and also funding to pay for that. So. With that, I want to thank everybody who stayed on with us for the entire 50 minutes. That is the end of the Vinequity Town Hall 2024. We have recorded this session and we'll put it up on YouTube and it will be on our site. So if you want to go back to it and take a look at it or share it with someone else who you think could benefit from a mentorship program or a scholarship program or even Grapes and Growth, our new program, and or if you've got someone who is a lover of food and wine, they love the restaurant, love the hospitality industry and want to find a way to donate to that, this is a great opportunity. Or just anyone who wants to donate their time as a mentor, Vinequity is always here for it to have those conversations.